What's going on, guys? Andrew of Newbark Gaming back here today, and welcome to Newbark News for February 22nd, 2019. Now, starting off today's news is something that most of you have probably already seen elsewhere on the internet, but I would feel totally like I'm doing wrong if I don't mention it in some way, shape, or form, and that is the fact that Reggie, the current CEO of Nintendo of America, is retiring in April of this year. He's leaving a great legacy behind him. He started back with Nintendo way back in 2004, came in, totally revolutionized the way that they portrayed themselves and marketed themselves within this country, and is a big reason why they saw a lot of the success that they did, especially with the Wii console, and he just had a great, approachable, friendly image to him that it's very easy to respect. I'll be going more in depth on my thoughts on him with the podcast and with Logan later this week, so if you're interested in that, be sure to tune in, and let's go ahead and move on to our next news article for the day. Now, this one's going to be coming to us from siliconera.com, and it's talking about how Atlas has distributed player surveys to people who play their games, asking questions about Catherine, Dragon's Crown, and Persona ports and sequels. Basically, what these are asking about is, hey, what would you like to see most? Us port some of our games that are currently, say, exclusive to, in the case of Persona, PlayStation systems to, say, I don't know, maybe the Nintendo Switch. Same deal with Catherine, and what about Dragon's Crown? Those types of things, and apparently Atlas distributes these types of things relatively frequently, but I'd say this does a pretty good job continuing to feed into a lot of the rumors that are circulating around the internet right now, implying that we might be seeing something along the lines of, I don't know, a Persona 5 Golden Edition or something coming to the Nintendo Switch. If that ends up being the case, I think that would be absolutely awesome, and anything to help fuel the fire behind that I think is great. Persona is one of my favorite game series. I'm in the middle of 4 right now, and I'm absolutely adoring it. I can't wait to get to playing some of the other games in the series. Recently got the Steelbook for 5. Just all really good news, guys. Atlas is a really good RPG maker. They make some awesome games. If you've never tried an Atlas game, highly encourage you to go out and give one a shot as soon as you get the chance. So let's go ahead and move on to our next news article for the day. And this one's going to be coming to us from Gear Nuke, and Sony has filed just another patent adding to the string of rumors and ideas and patents that we know they've been trying to file for, that are basically telling us that the PlayStation 5 is going to be backwards compatible. Now, this one specifically has to do with busing, which has to do with how the various electrical components within something are communicating with each other, essentially. And this one has to do with trying to, essentially, boost it with legacy support. Legacy applications, of course, being things from older devices, and it just sounds to me more and more like Sony's really leaning into this whole, let's make sure that this thing is backwards compatible type of thing. We know that this is something that I would at least hope Sony has acknowledged, that older PlayStation systems that are backwards compatible, i.e. the original PlayStation 3 FATs as they're often called, or the original PlayStation 3 models that are backwards compatible with PlayStation 2 games, still sell for a really good price today, despite the fact that they were unreliable consoles for the most part. And so I think maybe Sony's finally catching on that, hey, this is something our community really wants. If we end up seeing a PlayStation 5 that can play PlayStation games from every generation, I think that thing's going to sell like crazy from day one, on top of the fact that Sony's got a really good brand going for it right now with PlayStation 4 already. So this is just overall really good news, and let's go ahead and move on to our next article for the day. And this one is coming to us from VG247.com, and this one's got to do with the fact that apparently Xbox Live Game Pass is going to be coming to the Switch. Now, not quite in the same way that it works on Xbox consoles, where you're able to download the games that are available to you via Game Pass, but you'd instead be streaming them to your Switch. So think of it very similar in a lot of ways to the remote play function that PlayStation currently offers, that I believe works for PCs and I know works for Vitas, and that you can basically stream games to the device. Well, the fact that Xbox is getting Nintendo to cooperate with this, and the fact that you may be able to play essentially Xbox games on a Nintendo Switch, even if you're doing it in a sort of roundabout method, is just absolutely mind-boggling to me, because after all, these are totally rival companies. This would be like Sega and Nintendo being like, you know what? Let's make a system that plays both of our games, back in the early 90s during the Genesis Super Nintendo wars. So it's just really crazy to me, but I think it's a cool time to see this type of stuff developing in video games. Certainly adds another layer of complexity and awesomeness to the Nintendo Switch, and vastly widens its library if you're willing to participate in this type of thing and the service does indeed work well. So let's go and move on to our next article for the day. And this one is coming to us from GameSpot, and is going to be about the upcoming PlayStation 4 game Dreams, currently being developed by the developer known as Media Molecule. Now, Dreams essentially is supposed to be putting video game development tools in a very user-friendly, easy-to-access manner in the face of players. which is a really cool concept. And this launched a beta way back in January, which saw people making all kinds of crazy creations even within the limited time frame that they had access to the beta, including like battle royales and like virtual worlds. Apparently you can make music in it and all kinds of other things. Overall, Dream sounds like a really cool game, but the big problem with it has been there's kind of this generic, it's coming out in 2019 sometime type of launch date currently for it. Well, good news is we just got an early access launch date kind of confirmed, which is basically saying early access to the game will open in sometime of spring this year. If you want access to the early access portion, I'm using the word access a lot, it's going to be $30, both US and Canada, which is really awesome. I mean, it basically means you're going to have access to this game, or at least the development tools part of it. They've announced that they aren't quite ready with like more of the gameplay aspect yet, but in terms of the the quote-unquote creative mode, if we're using a Minecraft analogy, that will be fully open to its early access users, which is really cool. And from a marketing standpoint, makes a lot of sense, because it's essentially, well, let's give it to the player base early, let them create things, and then by the time the full game launches, we're gonna have this massive library of content between what we make and what they make. Very clever, very cool game coming out, guys. We've yet to get a confirmed full release date for the game, and we don't know for sure, to the best of my knowledge, whether that price will increase after the early access. Like if you're going to buy the full game and you didn't participate in the early access, whether that's going to go up in price. It could end up being $60, we don't know. Overall, really good news. That's going to go ahead and wrap up today's episode of New Bark News, guys. As per usual, be sure to let me know your thoughts, comments, etc. in the comments section down below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like and subscribe. If not, constructive criticism is always welcome, and I'll catch you guys next time on more New Bark News.